Welcome to News Exchange. I'm Jamie Bennett. Thank you for joining us for an update on your local news and events in Douglas County. We've got a special guest for you today on our show, a local musician. He stopped by and brought a few friends, and that means we've got a private concert just for you. Spring, it's on its way, and it's time to start thinking about the Hydrangea Festival. Actually, it's time for planting, and we'll show you how to do that. A new Douglas County Spelling Bee winner was crowned recently, and we'll tell you what word they had to spell to win. Our hero this month doesn't stand on 2 feet, but walks on 4 paws. All those stories and more. It's today on News Exchange. Let's start with our Did You Know? The 7th annual Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival is in June, but now is the time to start getting ready, and it's the best time to plant hydrangeas. Let's take a look at how you can do that. Mike, the Hydrangea Festival is coming up in June. You guys are getting ready for it. A big event, big festival always. What can we start doing now to prepare ourselves? Is now the time to plant?
This is a great time to plant. Hydrangeas are pretty forgiving, and you can actually plant them at various times of the year, but this is one of the best if you can get them in early so they have plenty of time to start getting a root system going before it gets hot and dry. Okay. That's the best time. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you kind of what you'd be looking at right now if you bought a hydrangea, because they are basically deciduous plants. They go into dormancy in the winter and they drop their leaves, excuse me. This is a hydrangea macrophylla, and as you can see, it looks dead almost. But if you look closely, you'll see the buds that are beginning to swell because we've started getting a little warm weather now. So they're starting to show that they're about ready to burst open with new foliage. So it's a great time to put this plant in. We could either plant into a pot. Say, for example, if at home you don't have a lot of space out in the yard to plant any of these, then you could put them in a pot and put them on the patio or other parts of your yard. Generally, hydrangeas prefer a site that has some filtered sun. Most especially, they like a little morning sun. Okay. It is possible to put them in an area that's too shady, but they definitely need a little shade in the afternoons.
So no direct sunlight?
No direct sun from, say, 11 o'clock on. Okay. Morning sun is fine for them because usually it's not very intense and so hot. But as we get later in the day, as you know how it is in the summer, it gets really hot.
You're going to show us how to plant this. What do we need to put in our pot, and how much soil? I guess you got Miracle Grows?
Yeah, we're going to use like a Miracle Grow potting soil basically for trees and shrubs. Okay. You can buy this at local garden centers. We're going to do this one in a pot. If you were doing it in the ground, the same principles would apply. You do want to kind of work on your soil. You generally don't want to put these in heavy red clay or anything like that. Okay. The soil needs to be where it can drain well and have good aeration. So just buying some of this or a soil conditioner can be mixed into the area where you want to plant in the ground. But for a pot, this is perfect for a pot. Okay. So we're going to use some of this. And first thing is drainage. You want to make sure that the pot you're going to use has a drainage hole. Okay, because it's real important. Otherwise, every time you water, you're going to get a reservoir of water that will be in the bottom that will rot the roots. So, got to have a drainage hole. Now, some people put a little gravel in the bottom to kind of keep the drainage hole from clogging up, which is okay to do that. It doesn't seem to make a major difference.
So you don't have to, not a big deal if you forget or you don't want to.
So we're just going to start putting some of this in. This also has some slow release fertilizer in the form of Osmocote. Okay. It's already mixed in it. So you don't have to worry right now about fertilizing at all. And we're not going to get too much in there because we might have to take a little bit of it out.
So we're doing about half a pot?
Probably more like a third.
Okay, third of the pot.
And then we're going to take the plant, and the hardest part probably is going to be getting it out of the pot, but you turn it to its side, and you loosen it all the way around to make sure it's not adhering to the side of the pot. just to make it easier to get it out. All right, and then check the bottom and where the drainage hole is. Sometimes if they've been in the pot a long time, the roots will completely clog up and be holding on to the plant, to the pot.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that that's loose enough you can get it through. And it seems to be. And then you would just want to work it back and forth and try to keep it intact so you don't lose too much of your soil. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, now we're just going to set that in for the time being. It's too high, so we'll have to take some soil out.
Okay.
Move this out of the way. And also, when you get it out of the pot, look at the root system. And if it's been in the pot a really long time, sometimes it'll be pot bound, which means the roots have completely covered up the root ball and they're really tight.
Okay.
So it doesn't hurt at all.
To loosen it up some.
Loosen it a little bit. This allows the new roots, as they start growing, to work their way out into the soil. So usually I just do it with my finger, or you can use a tool if you want to. And you just want to break and separate some of those outer roots. Let's set this down over here. We're going to take out some of our soil that we put in here. Let's see if that depth is pretty good now. All right, once we get it in place, and if we're planting this in the ground, one thing that's very important too is to not get it too deep. Make sure that the hole is somewhat shallow, because they don't like to be deep in the ground. They like to be up a little bit. Drainage and aeration is real important for hydrangeas. All right, now once we've got our plant in, we're going to work some of this
soil, I guess.
Right. Take some of our good soil here and work it in around and push it in good and tight.
Now, how often do we water? Once we get the planting done, what's next?
Well, when you first get it potted, this time of the year, here we are at the end of February, so it's not going to need watering too frequently. In fact, just leaving it outside should be sufficient. I would water it in good initially, right after you first pot it. And the same true is if you're potting it in the ground. The purpose of watering in the first time is to make sure that you get rid of any air holes, air pockets, and it settles the soil in around the plant, around the roots.
You said now was the best time to plant, but how long can we plant into the spring, summer? Is there a certain cutoff point where there's no need to try to plant it because it won't grow? Or
Well, actually, you could plant all the way up till July. However, the closer you get into the hot summer months, the more difficult it is going to be to keep the plant in good shape, because it doesn't have, the root system's not well established yet.
Okay.
And with the heat and the hot, dry weather, less rainfall, it's going to require you as the homeowner, the gardener, to do more work. You have to water it more. So the sooner the
better if you're going to plant your own. Tell me about the Hydrangea Festival, when it's going to be, and kind of some special things this year, maybe the theme. I know you guys have a neat theme this year that people will be able to kind of understand.
Yeah. Well, we always have the Hydrangea Festival the first full weekend in June. And our theme this year, we kind of base it on a particular variety or cultivar of hydrangea, and we pick a different one each year. And the one for this year is going to be incredible. It's a variety called Ruby Slippers. And this is it, this one right here. Of course, as we said, they all look dead right now, but this is actually an oak leaf hydrangea, and it produces a big white inflorescence of blooms. And then as the summer progresses and we get into the fall months, it'll turn more reddish, pinkish in color. And the foliage in this one also turns very red in the fall. So it's a great outdoor plant. So wonderful. But that's our theme this year, our flower show that we will have at the courthouse. We have every year. We'll also carry out the theme of Ruby Slippers. So thinking of all kinds of things having to do with the Wizard of Oz. And as you know, this is the 75th anniversary of The Wizard of Oz, the film, which came out in 1939.
So the timing is perfect for the festival and the film.
So the timing is perfect, right. So.
Remember to make sure you fertilize your hydrangeas to ensure proper growth. Now it's time for Issues and Interest, and our segment is all about people getting recognized for their achievements. So look closely. You may just see someone you know. The Douglas County Annual Spelling Bee was held at the courthouse recently, and now it's time to announce the winners. The contest started out with 28 participants, but only one student could come out on top. And I'm sure everyone wants to know who won and what the word was that gave them the victory. Well, this year's word was green gauge.
G-R-E-N-G-A-G-E, green gauge. We have a winner.
And we congratulate all those students who took part and the winners. And just in case you were wondering, green gauge is a form of plum, so it's something you can eat. Next, we have the 2014 Military Academy nominations. Here's how it works. Every year, a high school senior who aspires to attend one of our prestigious military academies must meet strict guidelines and be nominated by an authorized person, including a member of the United States Congress. Recently, District 13 Congressman David Scott announced his nominees, including were those from Douglas County. Here they are. And finally, Douglas County employees were awarded for their years of service to the county with a luncheon in their honor. Years of service awards start after a person has worked for Douglas County for 5 years. We want to say a special thank you to our fellow co-workers for all their hard work. In this month's In Studio, a local musician stopped by and he brought a few friends. They performed live for us. So here's jazz musician Brandon DeGroff. Brandon, thanks for being with us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started performing.
What a question. Well, I've always loved music, and I always just every day when I was younger thought that this is what I was going to do. And then, you know, I started playing trumpet in 5th grade, and been playing trumpet ever since. And I always thought I was like the best because I went to a private school and I was like first chair. And then, you know, I went to, I guess the next obvious thing to do was just go to college for music. And I really learned a lot of lessons and figured out that, you know, it's not as easy as it seems, or as I thought it would be.
I guess I should ask you about your musical passion, because you have a certain genre of music that is really, I guess that is your expertise, or what you want to grow into. Because you said you used to play the trumpet in high school, and you went on to college to play the trumpet, but now you're performing jazz. So how did you make that transition into now you're singing and doing jazz?
Well, I actually, when I first moved down to Georgia, I needed private lessons because I was always ahead of the public education, like band. And I ended up hooking up with a jazz saxophone player who lived around this area. And, you know, he kind of introduced me to jazz. I didn't know at all what I was doing with it, you know. And he just, little by little, just had me, you know, go right in front of the microphone and just play whatever. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, well, that's, you know, just go for it. Sure. And so I actually kind of hated that up until I got to college, and then I actually liked it because it actually did a lot of ear training for me. And I didn't realize that at the time. I was like, well, you know, he's just had me like play BS whatever, you know, just whatever. And then I got to college and I was like, wow, he's really training my ear, and now I can apply what I'm learning in college to what my ears already know, and then, you know, make me the musician I want to be. And so then, yeah, now, I mean, I don't really know what to say, because I love it so much that it's just like, that's all I think about. In my head, you know, I'm always thinking about like music, you know, notes.
Tell me about how you started actually, you know, you used to play musical instruments and now you're singing. So how did you get started singing, and do you write any of your music, or do you just pick out some other songs and perform those? How does that work?
I don't write original music yet. I mean, I've written maybe 3 or 4 songs that are original, but there's no lyrics to them, just because I'm an instrumentalist first. That's how I hear things. But there are like a million jazz standards out there that I'm still just trying to learn, and that's what's eating up a lot of my time right now. Because like the guys that are going to perform my trio, they know all these songs, but they're, you know, a little older and they've been more experienced and seasoned, so they've got it all under the belt in every key and stuff, and I'm just sitting there trying to hang on to one key, like what's this chord, what's this note? So, but, you know.
Tell me a little bit about maybe what is going to make you unique. What is different about you and how you perform, would you say, than someone else who's doing jazz?
Well, getting into singing again, I've noticed that there are a lot of jazz singers out there who have got great vocal technique and great jazz technique, but it's still like there's something missing, you know? And they might have a good tone, they might have great musical ideas, and it's like, what the heck is missing? And I think it's emotional connection to the lyrics. And I had a hard time when I first started singing, because I was thinking about them being just like notes. And then my voice teacher was like, you could be singing in like any language, because you're not even paying attention to what the words mean. It's just like notes. So once I started, I would write out the lyrics like poems, because that's what they are. And then I started to read them as if I had written them. And it gave me just like a whole different perspective on any song in general, even like, you know, any genre, pop songs, you know, country, rap, whatever, that there is an emotional connection. I think that's what separates me. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I have this one student right now, and I'm trying to figure out like how to teach. And a lot of times I'm stumped, because I'm like, okay, well, this works, and this is great, and this is what I like. I don't even know where it came from, you know. But I think that's what makes us all unique, is that we all have just like, you know, a certain intuitive like creativity to us, or creativeness to us, that just, you know, makes us unique. Sure. So, because I mean, you know, you go to college and you learn like the science part of it and the equations and stuff, which is great, and I love that stuff. It's very interesting. But you can get locked up in the, you know, the science part of it, and I think I bring the emotional connection to it. So.
And we're excited about that because we're hoping you'll bring that today to your performance. Tell me who's going to be joining you on stage today, and tell me about this song that you guys are going to be doing.
Well, on my trio, the Brandon DeGroff trio, we have Dave Frackenpole on guitar and Chris Riggenbach on bass, and then myself. And sometimes I play trumpet as well, but today I'll just be singing. Okay. And the song that I picked was Where, When. And, you know, I actually, when I was learning the song, I went on Spotify and I was like trying to figure out like how I wanted to do it based off a lot of my idols and stuff. And no one was really like, you know, I went through like maybe 50 songs, 50 artists, and nobody really did it the way I wanted it to. So I just kind of, you know, heard it in my head how I wanted it to, and or how I wanted to play it, and tried it out. And, you know, they're great, so they're going to do, you know, what they do. So.
It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when. It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again and again and again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when. It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you are wearing are the clothes you wore. Smile you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when. Thank you.
A special thanks to Brandon and the other musicians for taking the time to join us in studio. As we close the show today, our hero is Man's Best Friend and a program called Reading Pause. The mission of Reading Pause is to help improve the literacy of children through the assistance of therapy animals and their owners. Reading Pause started in 1999 as the first comprehensive literacy program built around the idea of reading to dogs. It offers children a chance to test their reading skills without fear or failure in front of classmates who might laugh or comment at their mistakes. The dogs offer a listening ear with no worries of anything that might embarrass the child as they read.
We are doing Reading Pause, what we call Reading Pause, and what we do is that kids come to the library and they read to Cleo. It's supposed to improve kids' reading skills and basically just get them excited about reading. Cleo's not judgmental. She never corrects them. She doesn't give them a hard time for saying the wrong word or picking the wrong book or picking a book that's too easy for them or anything like that. So she never gives them a hard time. So that's why they like reading to her. We're nationally certified through READ, which is a national organization, and then we're part of Reading Pause, which is a local group that does Reading Pause, is what we call it. So that's what we're doing today. And so kids will come, they sign up ahead of time, and they come and they read to her for about 15 minutes. And then kids don't show up, or if we have extra time and there's kids here who are willing or wanting to read, they read to her. And so it gets them, not only does it get excited about reading, but also if they're afraid of dogs or they're uncomfortable reading aloud or anything, it takes the edge off, it makes them comfortable, and they love to see Cleo and they pet her. And some kids don't, some kids stay away and read to her from a distance, but some kids pet her and snuggle with her and lie on her, and she loves it. She loves kids and they love her, and so it really works out well. I got involved with this by actually getting Cleo. There's a group here in Douglas County. Actually, it's all around Atlanta, but the girl who started it lives here in Douglas County, and it's a Greyhound group, and she's involved in Reading Pause, and we went and got certified with another. She has another Greyhound, got certified as a therapy dog, and Cleo's also a therapy dog. And so we did that first, and then it just kind of broke into what else can we do? Let's see, what else? Let's do, let's go to nursing homes, let's go to children's hospitals. Oh, you know, there's this reading program. So that's basically how we just kind of fell into it.
By now, you're probably wondering, well, how do I get my child signed up for this program? Here's how.
They can always call the library. We're at Dog River Library from 11 to 12, and from Douglas County Library from 2 to 3, the first Saturday of every month. So they can call the library and just register. All you have to do is just sign up. Like I said, you can always just show up, but we don't always have time set aside. So it's always good if you show up, you sign up, you show up, and if you just call the library, and there's, or you can check the website, readingpause.org, and Cleo actually has a web page, and you can email her from that web page and she'll email you back, or you can call the library, either way.
And just in case you're thinking about becoming a certified Reading Pause team, this is how.
What you have to do is you have to get certified through a therapy group first and be in a therapy dog certified group first. So we're a team, we're a certified team. You have to do that first, and then you go through the READ program, which is a national group, go through training that way, and then you get certified through them. And then you can either do it on your own or you can do it through a local group, which is Reading Pause is our local group that we use.
Thank you for watching DCTV 23. If you missed any of the dates or the list of events, all you have to do is go to our website at celebratedouglascounty.com. And if you have a story idea or a photo, send it to us through email at dctv23@co.douglas.ga.us. Be sure to check out all of our shows here on your source for local news and entertainment. DCTV 23 is always on at Comcast Cable Channel 23 and online at dctv23.com.